I would like to call this meeting of the Murray City Council on April 4th, 2023 open. And first of all, I'd like to welcome all of our attendees tonight. Thank you for coming and being part of this exercise. This evening, I have, I'm Phil Markham. I'm the Vice Chair of the Council, and I'll be running the meeting tonight. With me tonight, I have Rosalba Dominguez and Pam Cotter, and the three of us will conduct the meeting. Diane Turner and Gary Harekesi are excused this evening. Before we get too far along, I would ask you to check your cell phones, please, and put them on silent so that we're not disturbed by anything ringing or coming through. And to start the meeting tonight, I've asked Darren Bird if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Darren, if you would come up to the microphone there, please.
Everyone, please rise and follow me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. So, first item on our agenda this evening is approval of minutes, and we have none in the packet to approve, so we will move from that to our first item, which is special recognition. And we are going to be considering a joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, declaring Friday, May 5th, 2023 as Murray Arbor Day. Mayor Hales and Council Chair, Vice Chair Markham presenting. And I would like you to present.
Don't you like it, you and me? Darren, the whole group, you want to come up? Thanks for being here with us. How are you? Come on up here. Bruce, do you want? I know Bruce won't want to come up. You know, okay. I knew he was going to shake his head. I wanted to make sure you knew you were invited to come up. All right. So, welcome.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you. Can I tell the story you told, Darren?
Sure.
So Darren's daughter, what's that? Shadowed. Her daughter, his daughter shadowed our administration, and now I just want you to know. So after she shadowed us, she won a 4-year scholarship. So.
Nice.
I know. She had no chance until she shadowed us, but once she shadowed Doug, then she was successful. So anyway, that was neat. It was a wonderful opportunity, and you know what? We're gonna hopefully get more of those. So we're excited. Okay, I'll just read this, and then we'll turn the time over to you. So this is, as Phil said, this is a joint resolution from the administration and the Municipal Council of the Murray City, Utah, and we're declaring this on Friday, May 5th. Declaring it for Friday, May 5th, 2023 as Murray Arbor Day. Whereas Arbor Day is observed throughout the nation and even throughout the world on April 28, 2023, as trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas no exact value can be placed on a tree, as the true value is in the eyes of the beholder, and the psychological, emotional, spiritual relationship between people and trees is far-reaching and complex. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil from wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, as well as provide fun, shade, cover, and even safety for us and other living creatures. And whereas in preparing for the future, Murray City is committed to managing the confined spaces along streets and near buildings, so we have a peaceful coexistence between trees, utilities, buildings, and people. And whereas Murray City's Shade Tree and Beautification Commission has its prime objective, the beautification of our city by promoting the planting and care of trees and vegetation that will continually add beauty and value to our community, making it a more enjoyable and desirable place to work, play, and live. As a Tree City USA, now for 46 years, we are reminded that Murray is a city without equal. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and the Municipal Council of Murray City do hereby declare And then I'm going to stop there and turn it over to you guys for, before we have them come and speak, and turn that over to you for a motion on this joint resolution.
Do I have a motion?
I would like to make a motion for, consider a joint resolution of the mayor and the Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, declaring Friday, May 5th, 2023 as Murray Arbor Day.
I will second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the item?
No.
Yeah, I do. I have something. I just want to say I snuck into the event last year with my kindergartner and his little pals from the school, and they absolutely loved it. One of them was enthralled by the hawk and just super obsessed. I mean, our kids are we don't allow them to watch a lot of things, but the Nature Channel's their go-to. So they were really involved, and I want to tell you, it's a wonderful event. And although our kids don't go to Murray, we really enjoyed it, and we just had a great time. And I think you guys set the bar high. And so thank you for your time and your commitment.
Any other comments? All right. Brooke, would you call for a vote, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And Mayor?
Okay, I'll just finish this real quick. So Friday, May 5th, 2023 is Murray Arbor Day, and urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, to plant trees that will gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this future generations while beautifying our city. And passed, approved, and adopted by the mayor and the Murray City Municipal Council this 4th day of April 2023. So thank you so much, and are we okay to turn the time over?
Absolutely.
Have a
Yes,
couple of-
please.
Okay, I'll give that to you.
Thank you.
And then you guys can say whatever you want. Thank you. By the way, thank you. Thank you so
You're
much. We
so
appreciate all you do. Thank you.
It's a wonderful commission to be on, and I couldn't have said it better. Wasn't that beautiful? Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate your words, and Darren and I just appreciate the support, and invite you all to our event that we have planned in the park on Friday, May 5th, and just hope that it's not like today.
So let me just say, just for fun, a few years ago, we changed the date that we celebrate in Murray because, as the mayor had indicated, Arbor Day is actually the week before, around the 28th of April. And we found two things happened. One is we were conflicting with the state observance of the day. And secondly, about every 3 years, we had a blizzard. And since we changed it to the first weekend in May, the weather's been wonderful. So we're hoping this year doesn't blow that.
But we're scared.
And also, Murray City is the longest tree city USA community in Utah.
That's excellent. Thank you. All right. The next item on our agenda is citizen comments. So this is a chance for any individuals present to step up to the microphone. Please state your name and city of residence, and we ask that you have already filled out the form, or if you haven't, right after you speak, would you please put the information down on the form. Your comments are limited to 3 minutes, and so with that, I will open it up.
Hi, my name is Lawrence Horman. Most of the council knows me at this point, may even be tired of me at this point. I would like to encourage, and I think I did so the last time I spoke, that Murray City be the first city in the valley to propose and offer up a location for a permanent, I want to call it inclement weather center, rather than specifically a warming or a cooling center, because it can be used at for more than one purpose during the year, for when it gets too hot or when it gets too cold. A place where those who are homeless and have nowhere else to go can come in and be out of the inclement weather, whether it's too hot or it's too cold, and where services can be provided if necessary, or at least just a place to rest and be out of the inclement weather without difficulty or conflict or being shooed from place to place. Maybe a place like that could have available washing machines and showers and things like that as well. so that those who need it can use it without overloading the service providers that are already in existence downtown. So that maybe it can be used as a homeless community center year-round for things like that, without them having to feel uncomfortable or shamed when they come in to use it for that sort of thing. I mean, the homeless tend to use truck stops and community centers where there's gyms and pools and stuff like that. They buy memberships that they can't afford just to be able to get cleaned up. And something like this wouldn't necessarily have to be an overnight thing except for during the inclement weather, but it could provide services during the daytime for those who need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening? Please step forward, sir.
My name is Drew Kill, and I reside at 499 East Colinas Creek Circle. I represent a volunteer effort. I've been asked to provide a flood mitigation plan for the area in which we live, supported and started by the stake I live in for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Our stake has the Little Cottonwood Waterway running through it, starting at 9th East and 5900 South, and concluding at the culverts that run under State Street. We have scheduled April 29th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. to provide flood mitigations along the creek on the traditional hot spots of the creek that are both on the city watch list and the county watch list. Our plan is to provide enough labor to fill and place 15,000 sandbags along that stretch of the waterway in key locations that will give the creek greater capacity and the ability to handle record runoff. My purpose for tonight is to make you aware of our effort that is going to schedule for that day. I've been in contact with Lynn Potter and Nick Haskins, both in conjunction have been great and have promised everything that we need, but 15,000 sandbags is going to consume a lot of what I've been told are the resources that have been pre-purchased by Murray City for sandbagging efforts. We want to make sure that if we garner up the labor and pull this event off, it's going to happen. We'll do what we can with the resources that are available, but I'm asking if Murray City sees this as a valuable and important effort to support and protect communities, the citizens of our community, that we guarantee that we have the resources. We can gather up the labor. We have plenty of resources that can bring a lot of people in a volunteer effort to the park to fill, and we have organized neighborhood block captains with teams that can place. And we're looking for Murray's to be aware of the effort, number one, maybe to provide a couple of resources such as a police presence along 53rd South where the creek goes underneath where our 481 Parkside, where the majority of our filling effort will be handled there with community resources, labor resources, in an effort to slow down the traffic to protect those that are going to be participating in this event. The other item that has come up as a thought is if Murray City has the capacity to provide portable restrooms for the crowd that's going to be there. That's really about all we need. Bags and sand, some restroom support, and a police present in key locations. Happy to spend more than 3 minutes if anybody has questions for us.
Any questions of the gentleman?
Can you give me the location again where you're going to be doing this?
So the typical hot spots are
Well, I meant for the bags, filling the bags and all that.
That's 481. That's drop off a sand location that's been identified by the city. There's sand and bags there now. The sand and the bags are being consumed pretty rapidly. And if there's a limited amount of resources, then we need somebody from Murray City to help us connect with the county to get enough resources to support our effort. It's going to happen. We can get a large group of people there. We can get a smaller group of people there based on the resources that we can have guaranteed will be there to support our effort.
Okay.
This is going to happen It's organized and ready to go, so we just need the reassurance that we can pull this off with resources supplied by the city. This is an effort to raise the capacity of the creek bed and protect our community by doing that, rather than just placing bags around a single residence or a single building to protect that building. We see this as the only way that we can care for our community in a season of record runoff.
Okay. Thank you. And Mayor, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so I recognize you with your hat on, so I apologize. I know, Drew.
Well-
And so anyway, I saw you talking to Doug.
I understand follically challenged people are in
Oh,
style
yeah.
in this meeting,
See,
but
here I
didn't
thought he had
want-
all this hair underneath. I thought, I don't recognize this
didn't
guy.
want that to
Now
be
I recognize when he took the hat off.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Drew, but what we'll do is we'll coordinate. Doug, have you talked to Drew about this at all? Will you after the meeting? And then we'll talk with him. Okay. And we've got Russ Cackle here, our Public Works Director. So with you saying a guarantee, I'm not sure where that lies, but let's discuss what your efforts are. I've talked to Jeff Martin. Is he part of this?
Yeah, he's,
So I talked to him a few weeks ago, and he talked to the Public Works Department. And
Randy Nielsen, who his property backs up onto the creek, right there by the entrance to the park. He's part of our group. We have, our block captains are people that have a personal interest in protecting their property along the waterway. And then our crews are just people that are willing to help and protect the community from what we know is coming.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
We'll have Doug talk to you after on it. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
Drew.
much.
Appreciate you being here tonight, sir. Any other individuals like to speak tonight?
Hello, I'm Clark Bullen, District 3. I want to say thank you to the council and administration for holding off on the power rate increase pending further review and discussion. Also to Public Works and the snow removal and the power department with this weather. Murray is just a great city and does a great job. When the council approved changes for the zoning for this property just a while ago, they considered three things: height, parking, and green space. Specifically said that we weren't going to consider anything else, and it was mentioned several times that there would be continued conversation about this property. I'm asking the council to do a charrette or a town hall to allow the conversations to continue to discuss this property and what the citizens would like to see. I'm told that a charrette is an effective way to gather community feedback about an issue that is prescient to the community. Since this property is owned by the Murray City RDA and currently serves as a community space, I believe it would be appropriate and prudent to gather community feedback about its future. I believe we should discuss the following: the allowed density on the property, historic design and development standards to match the rest of downtown, parking for the renovated theater. I believe the parking at Ken Price will be just likely too far away when we consider it, the feasibility of preserving the building or not, and also I've heard the big tree out front is up for discussion as far as preserving that, and discuss those issues. The property is currently zoned for higher density mixed use, and all proposals are required to include residential. And I imagine developers will shoot for the highest density possible, as that will bring the most revenue. Now, I've spoken to several council members who would like to see something commercial, like medical offices or the like. Now, the current zoning would require that there also be residential with that. So if we do want to see commercial-only projects, we might want to consider changing the zoning so that's the type of proposal that we see. I have seen projects get to the proposal stage that citizens don't want and speak out against, and the projects have to go back to the drawing board. And there's a lot of frustration expressed, and I believe it would be less painful to gather citizen feedback now. And I encourage the council to consider doing a charrette or a town hall. C.S. Lewis said, "We all want progress, but if you're on the wrong road, progress means doing an about turn and walking back to the right road. In that case, the person who turns back soonest is the most progressive." Thank you.
Thank you, Clark. Any other individuals? Okay. Not seeing any, I will close the public comment period for this evening. Thank you to those that did step forward and shared their views. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing, and we will have staff and sponsor presentations and public comment will be given on this item. The action to be considered is consider an ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. Brenda Moore will be presenting.
So I have requested that we amend the 2022-2023 budget for some of the following items. I think we're still, even though it's still snowing, we're going to be okay with our snowplow. We'll check that in a month or so and see how our overtime is doing for that. In the capital projects funds, we have received $758,273 of TRCC money that is going towards the renovation of the Murray Mansion into a museum. So we're going to receive and allocate that to that project. We also received $100,000 of TRCC funding for a playground in Murray Park where the swings are. They're going to renovate that completely, make it a toddler playground. This will make it a very cool destination place for the little ones to come. In the capital projects, we also received $350,000 State's Arts and History Grant for the Murray Theater, so that will be added to the budget for the Murray Theater. In the general fund, we received more liquor allocation than what I had anticipated by $9,288, so we're going to receive that and put it towards police equipment. For the ZAP fund, I actually got overzealous, and we did receive $100,000, but I had already budgeted $90,000, so I need to adjust that back down so that it's only $100,000 in our budget, and that will be pulled out of reserves because that's where I put the original $100,000 that I did. In the general fund, I'm going to increase our interest received budget by $365,000, and we're going to use it for the following projects. $60,000 for maintenance projects at Riverview and Woodstock Parks. Of course, if the county says no on us taking over those parks, very unlikely, we will not spend that money. The $75,000 for streets, snowplow blades, and equipment maintenance for the plows. They've been out a lot. $35,000 for police onboarding expenses and $5,000 for police uniform expense. With all of the new officers' retirements and stuff, they have had to uniform a lot more police and send a few more to post in various places that they need to do. And then $190,000 to cover the increased costs of natural gas to heat the indoor pools for December. And then this budget opening also includes language that allows me to adjust the amount of the transfer budget that I can do between the CIP fund, or from the general fund to the CIP fund, so that I can transfer all of the transit tax, which is we spend that out of the CIP fund. I don't know the exact amount we're going to receive. Right now it's running above budget, or will run above budget. Transfer that, and then transfer any unspent funds in the general fund that exceed our 25% of revenue, our fund balance goal, over to the CIP fund, and it allows me to adjust the budget accordingly. I, of course, will let the council know how much I do transfer, and when I do transfer it, it won't happen until August. But that's so I don't get written up by the state auditor for transferring more than the budget will allow. And that's what's on this budget opening.
Are there questions for Brenda? I know we have discussed this thoroughly and studied it in Council of the Whole, so hopefully any concerns were addressed at that time.
The only question I have is the 90,000. Do we need to amend that to 100,000?
No, 90, because I had originally budgeted 90,000, and then I put 100,000 in there, so I had 190. It needs to be 100.
Oh,
So
okay.
I have to decrease it $90,000.
Okay. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
It's time for public comment on this particular issue. And anyone in attendance, again, is welcome to come up, but we would ask that your comments specifically address this agenda item and this item only. And so if anyone wishes to speak, they can have 3 minutes to express their views on this item. So with that, we'll open public comment. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public comment period and bring it back up here for discussion or a motion.
I move that we consider an ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2022-2023 budget.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay. I have a motion and a second that the council approve an ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2022-2023 budget as presented by Brenda Moore tonight. Please call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. With that, I will close that particular public hearing. And we have one other item. We'll have another public hearing on this second item, which is to consider a resolution approving the 2022 Municipal Wastewater Planning Program report. And Russ Kakla and Ben Ford are here to present to us this evening.
Go. Okay, appreciate the council and administration for letting me present this tonight. So as most of you know, this is an annual report that's required to be submitted to the Division of Water Quality every year. This report covers the financial health of the wastewater utility and kind of the overall condition and assessment of the collection system, and just kind of the few reporting things that are mandatory we report on every year. So since this is an annual report, I'm just going to cover the things that have changed from last year, kind of highlight those. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So I am the DRC person for our collection system. We're a grade 3 system. So our annual user charge this year was $572.88. That is up from $463 last year, about a $113 increase. That is one change. This next part just covers our revenues and reserves. Do we have enough revenue and reserve to for the fund to be financially stable, which we are in a good place with our recent rate increase that we implemented last year. And impact fees is a part of that. When we did our rate increase, our rate study last year, we did not do an impact fee study. We're going to do an impact fee study after July this year. That's included in our budget. So that is one other change. So this total replacement cost is a change that varies year to year. That has gone up a little bit. That is the cost to replace all of our equipment within our system, not our collection lines, not our manholes. That's just the cost to replace equipment, lift stations, pumps, things to that effect. So this last part, our collection system in general, we have 3 lift stations that we operate within the system, 135 miles of pipe that we maintain throughout our system. We also have to report on our sanitary sewer overflows for the year. There's 2 classifications for overflows. A class 1 is a major overflow, that's over 5,000 gallons. A class 2 is minor. We did not have a class 1, which is a good thing. We had 1 class 2 overflow this year, about 100 gallons, but we maintained that and were notified of that relatively quickly. And major grease in a large plastic bag was determined to be the cause of that. It's amazing how much But that stuff still ends up in the system from people flushing what they're not supposed to and things of that nature.
So you're saying that this plastic bag was flushed down the toilet?
Most likely it was, yes.
And it was a large garbage bag?
This was a 55-gallon type bag.
That was one of my questions.
Yes.
Wow.
That and grease were the contributing factor on that one. So we're required to report that every year. That was our only one we had. 28 new connections for the year, and that consisted mostly of Fashion Creek Court subdivision being finished and the Wynwood subdivision nearing completion. That's where those connections came from. We do serve approximately 36,800 within our collection system, and we have little over 9,400 total connections within our system. And within Murray, Cottonwood Improvement District and Mount Olympus also serve portions of our city as well. So this last part, like I said, I'm the chief DRC, direct responsible charge for our system, and this just states all of the operators that we have employed at our system, and we are currently certified with enough operators to be in compliance. And that lists the operators. Last thing we need to make you aware of, so our management plan is kind of our living document, how we run the collection system, why we do what we do. We're required to audit that management plan every 5 years, do a full audit. We try and do a full audit every year. So we have to document the changes that we did with that audit every year. We did have a new supervisor that started this year. We had a retirement within the department. So we have a new supervisor, and we changed our ownership. It used to be a flat rate in there. I changed it to a ownership range because our Central Valley ownership does change from year to year.
Right.
Outside of that, the last part, just an evaluation of the whole system. We know where our trouble spot areas are. We maintain them. We have all those on a hot spot and list to be rehabbed and repaired when money allows, and we get to them on the list. That's the gist of the changes.
You know, Ben, I would like to commend you guys for keeping up with this. I know it is somewhat required. You know, the state does require this, but this provides some very important guardrails for the department to ensure that they're taking care of this asset. And it gives me a lot of confidence in our system and the way it's being run. I want to thank you for that. I do have one question. As far as advancement for, you mentioned you have several new hires.
Mm-hmm.
You have the proper number of certified operators in that. But is the city still providing opportunity for employees to advance through the different levels of certification?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So everybody within our department can advance up to a Tech 3, a wastewater Tech 3.
Okay.
Even if they start at the bottom, once they put in the allotted time and pass their certifications, they can eventually advance up to a Tech 3.
Okay, and then beyond that, it would depend on a vacancy, right?
Correct, yep.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
You bet.
Any other comments from the council, questions?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Okay, so on page 5/30, it says, do you have a water and/or sewer customer assistant program? You said no,
We do not have a customer
And-
assistant program.
and is there a
We-
reason, or?
Well, so we have the HEAP program kind of acts as that, but not technically what the state defines that as. So
Okay,
we do potential adjustments if there's been water leaks within the winter months. We do adjustments on a case-by-case basis if they meet that minimum criteria, but we do not have an official capacity assurance program, what the state defines it as.
Just so you know. Hello, just so you know, I don't want to misquote this, but I want to say we've done 2 or 3 since I've been here. Just did one the other day, or not the other day, but a few months ago that we did. So we do it
Okay.
case by case.
okay.
Yes.
And then it says, how many days on page 14/30, how many days last year was there a sewage bypass overflow or basement flooding in the system due to rain or snowfall? And this is going to be interesting, what will happen in the coming months on that.
So with that being said, we do have infiltration that gets into our system. We have an older system. So we will see levels come up a little bit. It should not get to the point where we are affecting anybody's basements. We'll see an increased flow with the higher water table going to Central Valley, but we should not see it affect anybody's basements. That hasn't happened in years past. Don't anticipate that this year.
Very
Good.
good to know.
Good. Okay, I just have a couple of more. I
Okay.
just have my little sticky notes.
Good.
Okay, so on page 26/30, what sewage system problems other than plugging have you had over the last year? And it says root intrusion, manhole lid failures, unexpected damage from contractors working near collection lines. Do they pay for the damages, these contractors, or does the city pay for these?
No, so any contractor that damages a line, it's their fault, it's their responsibility. We have somebody there to inspect it, to make sure it's repaired according to our standards, but it is their responsibility to fix it.
Okay. And then my last one was on page 27/30. Is there a written policy, and I know Councilmember Markham touched a little base on this. Is there a written policy regarding continuing education and training for wastewater operators? And you said no, and the reason is, can you restate it again?
We do not have, I know we talked about this last year as well, we do not have a written policy as far as, we pay for tests, we pay for them to go to certification classes, everything they need.
Okay.
It's just not a set in stone policy, so, and the reason it's not a set in stone policy is we kind of reserve the right, we pay for all of our operators to take the tests. It used to be, we would reimburse them after they would pass the test.
Okay.
We now pay for every opportunity they want to go do it, but there's been times where maybe guys aren't fully invested, and we want to reserve that right, where if a guy's just going and doing it just to do it and not investing, we don't want to waste the city's money when it comes to that. So that's kind of the reasoning why there's not a set in stone written policy on that. But 99.9% of the time, we're covering every expense there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Sure, Mayor.
I just want to, while Ben's still there, I don't have to say much because you can see it. Ben's great. He is my alternate on our the Central Valley Board. He obviously knows a lot more than I know, and so we meet every month and go over all the issues, and he knows what he's doing, and I know Russ is very proud of Ben, and because Ben is really an amazing supervisor that we have here. So,
Well, Ben's also an example of being an employee, having opportunity to advance and learn and grow with the city. Ben, how many years have you been here with the city?
Almost 21 now.
And you started as a maintenance worker,
Started as a
right?
maintenance worker in the streets
Absolutely.
department, yep, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. We'll open this item up for public comment right now. If anyone in the audience would like to speak, you have 3 minutes to express your views on this topic specifically. And so we would invite anyone that wishes to do that to step up to the microphone, please. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public comment portion and bring the item back up here for a motion or more discussion if you so desire.
No.
Okay, motion.
I'd like to make a motion for an ordinance. Sorry, just turned myself off. I'd like to make a motion or resolution approving the 2022 Municipal Wastewater Planning Program, MWPP report presented by Ben Ford.
I will second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second that the council approve the 2022 Municipal Wastewater Planning Program report presented to us this evening by Ben. Please call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. With that, I will close that public comment, or excuse me, I will close that public hearing. And the last item on our agenda this evening is a business item to consider an ordinance repealing paragraph B of sections 7.04.020-13.48.060 and amending section 15.20.260 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to operational transfers of the Solid Waste and Recycling Fund, the Stormwater Fund, and the Power Fund. And Brenda will be presenting to us tonight.
So before you as an ordinance is trying to accomplish two things. One, to repeal the sections that you mentioned, 7.04 and 13.48. Those are the solid waste and the stormwater transfers. It says in those sections that those two transfers are required that we do. We stopped the stormwater transfer in 2019 and the solid waste transfer in 2021. We stopped the stormwater. It was this very, very small amount, and it was one of the more controversial transfers, mostly because of the people in the newer section of Murray. That's the only fee they pay to us, and they were kind of not real happy that some of that was being transferred to the general fund. So that one was stopped. The solid waste, it came to my attention as I thought about it that the only people paying into solid waste are homeowners, single-family homeowners, maybe duplexes, and they are basically part of their fee is being transferred to the general fund, which is also supported by them, and it was only a portion of the city that was doing that transfer. So we stopped that because it just wasn't equitable for them to have to pay a transfer on their solid waste fee and pay the property taxes when the rest of the city is not doing that. And it defeats the purpose of the transfer. The transfer is intended to have entities which are not taxed with property tax, basically nonprofits, and so that they can help contribute to the city services that they use. And this one was not fulfilling that goal. So we stopped that. Now we're catching up and changing the ordinance to allow us to stop it. So we're just basically taking the transfer language out of those two funds. The last one, section 15.20.260, adds language to allow the council to change the power fund transfer amounts, cleans up some language about what I am to include and what I am not to include in that transfer, and makes it so that it is optional and not required, so that we could stop it if we chose to. It just makes the language consistent with the water, wastewater, and power. All three of them now have the same language in them. So that's what this ordinance has, so that we can kind of clean up this section of the code a little bit.
So basically a housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
And the impact on the general fund is not significant. It's not something that
No.
needs to be addressed.
Since we have already stopped those two transfers, the general fund has already absorbed it. And when we did stop them, it would be about $400,000 of revenue that would come to the general fund between the two if we started them again. But I don't think that anyone feels the need to do that, especially the solid waste, because that one's not equitable.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Brenda. Any other questions for Brenda?
I'm just confused on the language. If we aren't doing it, why do we need to change the language?
So we are not doing, because it's required. According to the ordinance, the solid
The
waste.
state ordinance?
No, our ordinance.
Our ordinance, okay.
The solid waste transfer is required that we do it, and the stormwater transfer, it is required that we do it. We have stopped doing it, so we're trying to make the ordinance match our practice.
And what's the state allowance on this?
The state, some people in the state really don't like the fact that we do transfers.
But we can.
We can. We follow all of the rules. My biggest recommendation at budget time is we leave the percentage the same, it stays the same, and we never change it. So all this is doing, the percentage is the same. We could change it, but my recommendation would be that we don't. But this allows all three of sections for water, wastewater, and power to have identical language in what we can and cannot do.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Seeing as there's none, I'm open for a motion if you desire.
I make a motion of an ordinance repealing paragraph B of section 7.04.020, 13.48.060, and amending section 15.20.260 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to the operational transfer of the Solid Waste and Recycling Fund, the Stormwater Fund, and the Power Fund, presented by Brenda Moore.
I will second.
All right. I have a motion and a second that the council approve a repeal of Section B of Ordinance 7.04.020 and 13.48.060 and amend Section 15.20.260. Please call for the vote.
Aye.
Sorry, I don't feel comfortable making this vote right now. I would like to table it. I feel like the rest of the council should be present to have a majority.
Okay.
I don't know where that leaves us.
We would need another council member to agree to table.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
So just so you know, going forward, it also, our ordinance requires a vote of 3 to pass an affirmative, pass something like this.
Okay.
So without that, then it would fail.
Okay.
Okay, so I would abstain.
Okay, then the motion fails to have a majority, so it will. We still need to vote. Okay, I vote in favor. Aye. All right, and with that, yes, so it was 2-1, and we will look to agenda this item at, GL, would it come up in Council of the Whole first, or?
Yeah, what you may want to consider is just reconsidering it and then putting it on the table and putting a definite time date for this to come back.
Could we just do that for the
It's-
next, or would I do that?
It's just a motion to do that.
Okay.
But the reason for that is you've now potentially voted, it just died, right? It just didn't get the number of votes. I'm not sure you can bring it back and have a second vote like this. Unless you table it, and you just voted to, because there weren't 3 votes, it failed, right? You can't just bring things back every week to keep voting on them.
Okay.
So your better bet, I think the cleanest thing is to do is to, somebody who voted in favor of it, to move to reconsider tabling it. So reconsider the motion,
Okay.
and vote whatever, and then. Yeah, and then put it on whether it's be the committee of the whole or a city council, doesn't matter. You can have Jennifer put it on, or you can just say specific date.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, do I have any motions or discussion?
I have a discussion. Let's bring this back to the council meeting.
Okay. It would need to be a motion, Pam.
I'd like to make a motion to bring this back to the council meeting. The first one, which would be April 18th. So the other 2 council members could hear this.
Hopefully be here.
Could we do that on April 18th? Or
So this is one of the Roberts rules, and it's a little complicated.
Okay, let me get
First
my
step.
worksheet out.
Okay. The first
need a
step,
second,
which
right?
Jennifer taught us tonight, was
Yes.
move to reconsider.
Right. So,
So if you all vote to reconsider, then you can go on and say, let's table it and put it at a certain
Okay.
date.
So you need.
Okay, I'd like to reconsider,
motion to reconsider.
a motion to reconsider.
Yeah.
Do we need a second for that?
You didn't do
Okay.
second.
Should I read the title?
Yeah.
Okay, I would like
Great.
to reconsider a motion of an ordinance repealing paragraph B of section 7.04.020, 13.48.060, and amending section 15.20.260 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to the operational transfer of the Solid Waste and Recycling Fund, the Stormwater Fund, and the Power Fund, presented by Brenda Moore.
Do I have a second?
I will second that.
All right.
Did I do that right, GL?
That was great.
I have my
Call for the
worksheet.
vote,
We're good with
please.
that.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Now, we can, by tabling this, I would entertain a motion when we would like to have this brought back up for further action or discussion.
I will make a motion to reconsider this on April 18th, or table this to April 18th.
I second it.
All right. I have a motion and a second to table this item until the April 18th council meeting, and
Yes.
at that time, it will be reconsidered. Please call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay, Mayor, it's your show.
How do you like that? Well, we're almost out of salt. I'm kidding.
Not really.
Not really. It's been busy, and what I want to do is just recognize everyone. I know it's just not Public Works. I don't even want to get into it because it's so many. It's almost all our employees. They're all involved in helping out, and I just can't believe how every time we have a snowstorm like this, how much this is when I really shouldn't say this because then all of a sudden it'll happen. We get very few complaints. We just don't get a lot of complaints. People call up, and this is unusual, but they call up and thank the city for getting out early and getting those roads done. And it's just a huge compliment to our city and to Russ asked me to say this, so this is why I'm doing it. But anyway, I'm just kidding. He's over there laughing, and I thought I'll get the last laugh. Anyway, we are really appreciative to our employees, and then I talked about I wanted to go over to the city or to the new city hall, and it's been too snowy. So we are going to. The weather looks good, so we will contact you and have a date next week. I think we're looking at Thursday, but we'll send it and then invite you to come if you can come and join us to look at your new offices and look at the city hall and the chamber. I haven't been over there since with you guys. But Doug and by the way, Jeff, who is Jeff Martin, he's amazing. You've all know who Jeff is, and he's done a remarkable job. And so is Doug, is meeting every single week and talking every day with the folks over there. And there's a couple little hiccups, but not too much. So we're still moving forward. Looks like we'll be in the next few weeks. So it's moving along, and. There was something else I was going to tell you now, I can't remember. But anyway, we're moving along, and any questions for me? Okay, thank you for your support. We really do appreciate, and we had a great conference in DC. I'll tell you, I've been there quite a few times. I don't know why, but I connected this time more than I have in a long time. Okay. So it was great. I don't know. I'll give you guys the credit for that because it was fun hanging with you. So. Anyway, thank you.
All right. With that, any questions of the mayor, first of all? Okay. With that, I'm open to a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned.